righteous retribution for those who betrayed America. They will be.
This is a quote. Welcome to the end of democracy. We are here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it. Am I missing?
One of the most embarrassing clips Bill Maher has ever put out, and he put out a lot of...
Yes, Bill, it's called a joke. It's called taunting. I figured as a comedian, you would be able to appreciate that. This story to me has got to be one of the dumbest stories that I think I have seen, especially given the fact that the person who decided to make light of this is an actual comedian. So, yes, we are talking about Bill Maher again. However, I don't think I'm here to insult Bill Maher this time. I don't think I'm really here to give him credit either. However, I am a little bit astounded how it is that somebody was clearly making a comment in jest, which, by the way, kind of goes to show you guys the divide in this country that, of course, we can't even agree on comedy anymore because the woke left is obviously much, much more politically correct. And, of course, that political correctness just kills comedy right off the bat. By the way, comedy is supposed to be subjective. What you find funny may be what you find funny. What I find funny is what I find funny. I mean, I tend to be the darker humor type guy. But then again, at the same time, I also am the kind of guy that laughs at the absurdities of situations. I'm more of a South Park kind of guy, and it's kind of a very, very weird type comedy style. Some people, of course, they can laugh at just about anything, even the driest of humor. Comedy is subjective. Let's just go ahead and say this. And, of course, political satire can also be subjective as well. Typically, when you do impersonations, if they're not being done out of, let's just say, mean-spiritedness, they're typically the best kind of impersonations. Just figure I'd get that out of the way before we got in the story. So Bill Maher the other night, and this where it kind of goes back to the previous video that I made on Bill Maher, where he had the girl from Newsweek and he had Tim Ryan on. And, of course, they're talking about tweets that come out. And, of course, I'm showing you guys these tweets from Jack Posobiec. Now, Jack Posobiec is now over there at Real America's Voice News, and apparently he's like one of the head writers over at the Post Millennial, which is connected to Tim Pool, which, by the way, he will come up in this video as well because he had a take on this. And apparently Bill Maher was up in his feelings about a comment about we're here to overthrow democracy. We'll talk more about that on the other side, but before we get deep into this, let me just go ahead and show you exactly what Bill said.
CPAC, do you know what that is? That is the conservative, what is it?
Unfortunately.
What is PAC?
Political Action Committee.
Political Action Committee, okay.
Yeah.
It's their big convention every year. It's like corporations have a big convention. They have their big convention. I made jokes about it every year. I can't remember the last time we didn't. It goes way back. I remember once calling it the Woodstock for the mentally impaired. And but in years past, it was like the most conservative commentators and senators and governors and. Okay, this year, there's a guy, I've heard this name, I don't know who he is, Jack Posobiec. He's doing sort of like a roundtable discussion, you know, it's a convention, they have these things. This is a quote, welcome to the end of democracy. We are here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it. Am I missing an irony here? Am I missing a joke? Or is it, as it seems now, they are saying the quiet part out loud?
Yeah.
That they are not. This is CPAC. This is their big, this is Republican, conservative, their big convention. And you have a guy like this and the crowd is loving it. Welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it. January 6th was good. Now we're going to finish the job. Thoughts?
It's scary.
Thoughts on that?
Bill, that was a joke about Trump making a joke about being a dictator day one in office. That is an ironic take on how the liberal
that was my question. Am I missing the irony?
Conservatives, I think so. Yes, it's a joke.
Really?
But, yeah, and I think more to the point. To you, Bill, and to
keep your day job, Jack.
Now, before we go any further, I want to say this really quick before somebody comes over here and says, oh my God, this guy's triggered by Bill Maher. He's off. Dude, it takes a lot more to trigger me than Bill Maher. I've been listening to Bill Maher's shtick for a very, very long time. Why do you guys think I've made so many videos on Bill Maher? Bill Maher saying what he said about Woodstock for the mentally ill, that right there is not something I haven't heard before. Obviously, we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to throw jabs at one another. Obviously, we're going to pick on one another. Obviously, some people have thicker skin than others. But still at the same exact time, though, this type of stuff does not surprise me. But what does surprise me is the fact that Bill is raising hell over obviously a set of comments, of which, by the way, if he'd actually checked Jack Posobiec's Twitter file, his Twitter page, or his X page, whichever one you might want to call it, he would have seen that Jack Posobiec immediately reshared the tweet of somebody saying that he was a heinous human being, or also the one where Snopes put out a saying, well, he actually said it. He did that obviously to play to his base because he's obviously having a lot of fun playing to his following. I would probably do something like that as well. If like a great big giant news organization shared something that I said that could be perceived as negative, I would probably retweet it or whatnot, or maybe even do a YouTube video, even if it's something that could be bad. My initial reaction, hey, look, man, make a YouTube video out of it. It's called owning what it is that you said. I'm kind of surprised that Bill didn't pick up on this. And to further clamp down on that, Posobiec, obviously, while at Real America's Voice News, worked for the Post-Millennial, he obviously decided to have a little bit of fun with this with Steve Bannon. I figured as a comedian, you would be able to appreciate this, but of course, this right here is exactly how unhinged the left is. Now, let me say this really quick. Posobiec's comments is really kind of a jab at this constant, let's just say this constant narrative that we need to protect democracy. Our democracy is under attack. Democracy over here, democracy over there. Democracy is below us. Democracy is above us. Democracy, quite frankly, everywhere. Democracy, 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 democracy. We're not actually a democracy. We're not a direct democracy. We are a representative democracy, or what I like to call a democratic democracy. You see, direct democracy is two wolves fighting over what's for dinner. Sometimes it's three wolves, sometimes it's four wolves, sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on, and so on, and so on. We are a democratic republic, meaning that we give dinner a rifle to be able to fight back against the wolves. That's the real truth of our nation. But still, though, at the same time, though, Bill Maher obviously got a little bit up in his feelings about a joke or something that was said in jest. Which, like I said before, is just poking fun of the mainstream media's narrative about this right here is a democracy, and we got to protect democracy, and democracy is under attack. I mean, after a while, it gets, pretty tiring even saying the word democracy. This quote was made at CPAC. If you've been in politics for a while, CPAC is the conservative convention that we typically tend to see roughly every few months. They typically tend to occur in election years. They typically tend to have this event post-elections, especially after a presidential election, if a candidate's no longer in office, or even if a candidate does, in fact, get elected, then obviously you will see CPAC. And, of course, ideas are kicked around. People make speeches. Some people actually get their stardom at CPAC. This is kind of what CPAC is designed for. And, of course, this past weekend, CPAC, of course, the word was that, or at least the buzz over Twitter was the fact that there weren't that many attendees at this recent edition of CPAC. Of course, all the attendees showed up the final day of CPAC with the Republican nominee, the presumptive Republican nominee, Donald Trump, was there. That's kind of the big thing about CPAC. However, the thing about CPAC that I think people should have been talking about, and I figured that Bill Maher, seeing how he is, he's anti-woke or supposedly anti-woke, what he should be talking about is what was said the other day on MSNBC.
Baltimore County, Tom Schaller, and journalist and opinion writer Paul Waldman. Their new book, out tomorrow, is entitled White Rural Rage, the Threat to American Democracy. And Tom, we'll start with you. Why are white rural voters a threat to democracy at this point? You would think, as we pointed out, looking at Joe Biden's background and Donald Trump's, that the opposite would be true.
I mean, we lay out the fourfold interconnected threat that white rural voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this, so we provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech. They're most likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy. They're also the most strongly white nationalist and white Christian nationalists. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
So you mentioned a lot of negative factors about this demographic.
Just more and more college professors trying to, get chummy with the liberal media, not realizing that there's people out there who actually produce the food that these people eat. But then again, though, maybe they're vegetarians. Oh, wait, that's right. You would still need farmers, mostly white rural farmers. We will be talking about that clip a lot more in detail in Thursday's video. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that I'm going to go ahead and record Thursday's very, very long video tonight, even though Super Tuesday is going on. And you're probably going to be seeing me wearing the exact same hooded sweatshirt for that video. It's going to be a relatively lengthy one, talk about our current situation, especially given the fact that that CW phrase has popped up once again. But back to the video. But of course, like I said before, we're not going to get any conversations out of this from some of our quote-unquote friends on the left, the ones who claim to be sane and rational. The truth be told is what Greg Foreman says about smart people on the left who know something is wrong, not actually voting along with us, not actually joining us in this fight. That's really what's kind of killing this country. It's kind of like when Stephen A. Smith the other day calls out the Democratic Party for having Joe Biden sit down with a black family to eat fried chicken to pander, when in reality what Joe Biden was really doing was he was eating a burger from Cookout, and he let the black people have fried chicken. And of course, in reality, it would have been better if he'd have just eaten the fried chicken with the family, which of course was also another dig at the stereotype that there's not enough fathers in the black community, when obviously the guy that he was having dinner with was obviously a single father with 2 kids. It was basically politics, pandering, whatnot. And of course, Stephen A. Smith, he of course missed it. I did make a video on that. I'll probably link it in the description box. But the thing is this right here, the anti-whiteism crap is obviously a problem. So what did Jack Posobiec really say?
That river right up there. They are the ones that are seeking to destroy not our democracy, but our constitutional republic. And is it incumbent upon us to restore it? We've watched as our schools have turned into incubators of hatred, hatreds of Christians, hatred of straight people, of white people, of successful people, hatred for our forefathers, hatred of our history, hatred for those who founded from nothing the greatest country in the history of the world, the United States of America. Lock up the criminals, liquidate the administrative state. Are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared to take their best shot and say, is that all you got? They say Alexander gathered his Macedonians before the march on Persia. Well, I say, I see before me a gathering of Magadonians here in this room. And after we raise that swamp to the ground, we will establish the new American Republic on its ashes. And our first order of business will be righteous retribution for those who betrayed America. They will be. What
Posobiec was saying, especially right there at the very end, was kind of in reference to what you guys saw earlier with those 2 guys that were on MSNBC, the anti-whiteism stuff. Okay, that's basically what he was talking about. We've got a lot of problems in this nation, and of course, these problems continue to get worse and worse and worse, and of course, a lot of people are falling for the media narrative. Now, to go on top of this video right here for tomorrow, there's going to be another video on about how it is that the media spin after the Trump 14th Amendment case got spun, and how it is that these people actually found a way to blackpill their voters. We'll talk more about that one a little bit later on tomorrow. But still, though, the point remains. The anti-whiteism is obviously a problem, and seeing how it is that Bill's candidate of choice, Joe Biden, actually increased his voter margin with whites. A lot of people don't tell you this, but in 2016, Donald Trump's vote share amongst whites was 58%. It went down to 57% in 2020. Biden, believe it or not, actually made inroads with voters in rural areas. But like I said, we'll talk more about that in Thursday's video, which I'll go ahead and record tonight. But the problem that people are having at this moment in time is that they believe that Bill Maher may just be a little bit out of touch. He doesn't exactly understand comedy anymore. And of course, it was Tim Pool of people who decided that he wanted to actually chime in on this. And I'm here to once again tell Tim that he's not entirely 100% correct on this one, but let's watch.
A lot of doozies. This is this Bill Maher addressing something Jack Posobiec said at CPAC, where Jack made a joke, very obviously, about ending democracy. It's a very obvious joke. The way he said it, he was chuckling. Everyone in the crowd was laughing. Bill Maher took it seriously because he's not a smart man. He doesn't do research. He just saw a quote and didn't understand the context. Probably because the quote came from CNN or MSNBC, and his staff are too stupid. And Bill Maher is too lazy to actually watch the clip. It's embarrassing. Bill Maher's got many doozies, such as when Dennis Prager came on the show and said that there are leftists claiming men menstruate. And Bill and all of the liberals go, ho, 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 as if they didn't know, because perhaps they didn't. Sure enough, when this show aired, several years prior, there had been numerous mainstream corporate press, high-profile, well-funded outlets with millions of views saying men do menstruate.
Tim, you might just want to thank God above that you left this type of cult of personality. But the truth be told is this right here. They've kind of been like this for a while, to where it's been like, and look, I remember the whole Dennis Prager quote. I remember when that actually happened. There's been a lot of very, very strange quotes that have happened on Bill Maher. One that recently popped up in my algorithm, it's like a week or two back, was Rowdy Piper and Bobby the Brain. A bunch of WCW wrestlers went on Bill Maher back in like 1999 or 2000 to have to explain to him that wrestling was fake. Everybody knows wrestling is fake. Bill Maher did not know that wrestling was fake. He actually believed that it was real. Like, he actually believed that these guys were getting hurt. I mean, like wrestling. Guy gets punched in the face, he hasn't got a mark on his face. Bill Maher actually believed that this crap was real. And, of course, he also went on to crap on the business and all that type of stuff there. I may link that in the description box. But the truth be told is, Bill, to a certain degree, has always been like this, Tim.
High-profile, well-funded outlets with millions of views saying men do menstruate. And there you are. Bill Maher doesn't know how to use Google. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play this clip for you so you can laugh. And it's fascinating because I have to wonder, when I was younger, when I was 19, I watched Bill Maher all the time. My friends loved it. The question is, was he always this lazy and stupid? I don't see why we should assume he was ever better at his job than he is today. I think the issue is we just didn't have the same level of communication to realize Bill Maher is not a very smart person. Well, here's the clip. Myth-informed has it.
Answer back to his first comment, but I'm going to go ahead and answer back to it now. The research writers over at HBO, and it's really kind of strange too, because HBO has produced a lot of documentaries and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that they are in a different division than those that work for Real Time with Bill Maher. The ones who work with Real Time with Bill Maher, it's pretty obvious that they just watch MSNBC and CNN all day. So that one right there, I'll obviously give Tim. But still, though, at the same time, this is kind of who Bill Maher has always been, bro. Or, Tim, it could just be the fact that Bill Maher is not that good without the crowd. You see, Bill Maher's strength is the crowd itself. Anytime Bill says something, the crowd automatically cheers. They've got the applause sign out there, and they just go ahead and start clapping. That right there is kind of how it is with Bill Maher. I remember that debate he had with Dan Crenshaw. By the way, we're kind of sour on Dan Crenshaw. Been sour on Dan Crenshaw for a while. We thought he was going to be a bit of a rock star here at on the conservative side of the aisle, but then he started supporting red flag laws and stuff like that, and we had to just, we just kind of turned away from Dan. But if you guys remember that, then you will remember that Dan Crenshaw absolutely wiped the floor with him. The topic was COVID. The topic was repatriating Americans who were overseas, who were coming back in during the lockdowns. It was that sort of thing there, and you saw exactly how weak Bill was when he did not have the crowd. The point is this right here. Bill Maher, for the most part, is a guy who feeds off the crowd. He has to have an actual big crowd behind him cheering for him in order for him to actually look somewhat capable or somewhat smart. That's the real truth about Bill Maher. And I'm not saying that he's an idiot, but then again, though, if you continue to vote for the policies that kill your neighborhood, kill your state, and kill the country, then maybe you might not be as smart as you make yourself out to be. And if you need the crowd to validate that, then obviously you've got another problem that I won't get into in this video, because if I do that, it may violate YouTube's terms of services. Just know that obviously there's a compensation thing going on. You know, it's almost like when Ben Shapiro calls Donald Trump a mud monster. Like the more and more and more you throw mud at him, you know, just the more muddy he becomes, the stronger he gets. I mean, this type of comment was obviously played up for laughs. I'm surprised you didn't get that, Bill. I mean, seeing how it is that you're supposed to be kind of an edgy comedian and all, bro. Let me say one last thing before I end this video, okay? Well, this kind of sounds funny when I said one last thing before I end this video. Tim is obviously still learning, the exact same way Posobiec is still learning. Most sane, rational people learn this stuff over the years. They learn this stuff over time. They learn that the media is obviously not on their side. They learn that some people out there can't take a joke, or some people are going to make a mountain out of a molehill. After a while, people do eventually learn this. And by the way, people also eventually learn more and more about politics and more about their nation as a whole. So while it is that from time to time I come over here and still pick on Tim from time to time, obviously he's been learning. While I do, in fact, love to go after Bill Maher, it's pretty safe to say that he's obviously never going to learn, and I'm going to continue to go after him whenever I can, because it does, in fact, get me views. And, of course, the YouTube algorithm is being a bit of a dick right now. Very strange. Guys, with that right there being said, I'm going to go ahead and halt this video now. I'm going to have another video out on how it is that the media is blackpilling the left tomorrow to go along with this one here. The big video that I'm going to be doing on the CW phrase, which I'm also going to be mentioning an awakening. That video right there will be out on Thursday, but it will also include some elements from this video too. So make sure you guys stick around for that one. That one's going to be kind of the big one for Thursday. And then we've got another video coming out this week on the gang issue, which of course is the gang issue that is the Venezuelan gang. So make sure you guys stick around for all those. With that right there being said, guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. Please hit the notifications bell so that way you guys are notified when my videos come out. You can also follow me on Facebook, and I'll see you guys later.